Hello all you fine people of the internet. Today I think we'll do a boombox. Now before we get into this, I want to give you a little bit of an update as to various projects I've got going on and when I plan to get to them and whatnot. First of all, the console stereo. I'm kind of waiting around to see if I can get the money together to buy the speakers before I do the recap on that unit. And I'm still kind of hoping to find a service manual for that unit, but I have not been successful at all, so I think we're probably just going to have to go ahead on that one with just whatever I can do with it. The Sony boombox, I have all the parts for it. We'll get to that one fairly soon, I hope. Maybe even after this project. But the gear is here. The belts are here. I should be able to get that one across the finish line. The Autel tape deck, I am still waiting on parts for that unit. Hopefully those will come soon. I would really like to see how good that thing sounds with the heads in their present worn state and all. Yeah, I've got several other cassette decks incoming, so I thought it was important to just go ahead and take a break from those and do a boombox for a change. Now this is an old project, and when I say old, I mean really old. I bought this maybe 10 or 12 years ago at this point. I saw it sitting there at a church rummage sale for a long time. Not for a long time. I literally picked it up the second I saw it, but yeah, church rummage sale, long time ago. I found this sitting there for $5 and I had to have it. And normally I don't say that about Sanyo units because I'm not a fan of Sanyo boomboxes at all. I just find them to be extremely poorly constructed most of the time, or at least some of the time. But this one I had to have. And the reason I've got such a low impression of Sanyo for boomboxes is because, well, one day in the 80s, I decided I was tired of trying to bring my Pulsar boombox along on trips because the detachable speakers on it literally don't lock into place, and I was tired of them falling off all the time. And I thought maybe I could find a one-piece boombox that was better able to handle road trips like that when I was a kid. So I remember going to Cornwall Center in Regina that one day. My folks and I and the rest of the family were in Regina for something or other, and I had a little extra money and I thought, well, let me go see what I can find. So I went to Sears. I think it was Sears. Could have been somewhere else. It was a long time ago. And I looked for boom boxes that were around the same price as the Pulsar unit, which was around $140. And I saw this Sanyo on sale, and I thought, that one looks kind of neat. Maybe I'll try that one. So I bought it, got it out to the car, put some batteries in it, tried to record something off the radio, and let's just say it was a very negative experience. It had very poor sound quality, and yeah, I ended up only using it that one day, so brought it home. I tried to find ways to like it, and I just couldn't like it, so I ended up giving that one to my sister, where she used it for quite a while, until one day the tape transport literally disintegrated on it. So I was unable to fix it, and off to the recyclers it went. But yeah, there are still a couple of Sanyo models I would like to get, but they tend to be on the expensive side because those are the only ones that blah 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 blah. They're the only ones that actually held up in my view. But this one, I just had to have it the moment I saw it, and the reason why is because this thing's got shortwave, and I know that some of you will probably remember me mentioning in my Sony boombox video that I had a unit with shortwave that I affixed a 6-foot antenna to that I could pick up radio stations literally all over the world with, and this is that boombox. I'll just show you now, if I can. This is that 6-foot antenna. Now it's kind of broken. This segment comes off, but it literally goes out to infinity, this antenna. And yeah, I really have been able to listen to radio stations all over the world with this unit. which is nice because on a full set of batteries, this thing runs forever. So yeah, this is the one I reach for whenever the power goes out and I have no idea when it's going to come back on, because even just last week we had a 16-hour power failure, which I'm really getting sick of in these parts. Time to start planning out a backup generator for the house here, I guess. Anyway, yeah, that's not all this thing has going on here. The other thing that really caught my attention was this thing's got a tape selector switch for metal, normal, and chromium dioxide. That's not something my other Sanyo boombox had. And it's also got mono stereo and wide stereo up here as well. So this literally does things that my $120 Sanyo from the 80s did not. So I was hoping when I got this that it would hold up better than that unit. And so far it has, except for one thing. The cassette transport has never worked. I tried playing a tape on it once, and it just couldn't do it. So I'm hoping to fix that today. That's the idea anyway. Anyhow, these were available in several different colors. I've seen several of those colors on eBay. I've got the red one, obviously. But I've seen them in black, white, pink, and blue at the very least. There's probably other colors out there, so I thought about picking up one of those other colors for this video, but no, I've got this one. This one's fine. Let's just go with this one. So yeah, we've got a 4-band tuner in this thing, AM, FM, and shortwave 1 and 2. And the reason why this only has 2 shortwave bands is because there's literally a fine-tuning knob right there. So yeah, Sony got around that by running several different shortwave bands on their tuner for that boombox. Meanwhile, Sanyo only has the 2 shortwave bands, and you have to use the fine-tuning in order to dial in a precise station. And you'll notice that knob is missing. Well, I've never had that knob, so I don't know where it went. So yeah, this is a good little boombox so far. Except for the fact that the tape deck doesn't work, so we're going to get into that right away here. So, of course, that involves pulling a bunch of knobs and stuff off, because if I remember right, this tape deck is not that easy to get to. You'll notice there's a music search function on this one. That's another thing my other Sanyo didn't have. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting this working. So we are going to have to start ripping some screws out of this thing. So I'll put you off to the side like so. And it looks like there is a screw missing in this unit. That's fine. I paid $5 for it. It's not important. Alright, that should be all the screws from the back. Now, before we get into this thing, I do have one other boombox that you guys haven't seen yet that really does need to have a project video of its own, and it's a Pioneer. So I should really get off my backside and start ordering parts for that thing, because I think all it needs is belts. Okay, looks like we've got a antenna connection to remove, so we can set that aside. It's been ages since I was last in here, so likely I've forgotten half the stuff that's in here. And I can see already that the cassette belt is still there, at least the main belt. I don't know if there are other belts. Probably there are. I'm going to try and change them all. I don't know if I'll do much with lubing this unit, but we'll see what it needs when we get in there. And I see cobwebs. So let us remove said cobwebs. At least as best we can. Now we've got some miniature humans visiting us today, so if you hear some crashing and banging around, that's what that is. Man, it's been forever since I got inside this thing, apparently. All right, now I'm just going to move you over here again while I take a look at what I need to do to get inside this thing further. Like I said, it has been a long time. But yeah, my grandniece and my grandnephew are visiting from the city. So you might hear them playing around upstairs. Let's see, I think we need to get this board out in order to access the tape transport, but how do you do it? I can't remember. Well, there's this connector down here for the speakers we gotta unplug, I'm thinking. I was actually hoping to use my new DJI Action 3 camera to do this with, but I literally don't have the tripod support for it, so having to go with this, using one of the phones again. I think we're gonna have to remove this connector as well, if it will come out. There we go. Now it looks like we've got another connector unplugged up here. We'll have to remember that goes there. This is probably the wrong way to be taking this apart, but like I said, it's been a while. Yeah, actually, I think we got to release the cassette door and pull the entire plastic carrier out. Which is kind of hard to do because we've got all these switches up top. It's sort of coming back to me now. I think. Maybe not. Oh, I see. We are missing a screw. Maybe even a couple of screws. Hope you can see it right there. It's a fairly long one that goes right down in here by the battery spring. So remember that one. Okay, yes, now the transport is loose. Oh, and we've got another wire that's holding us up here. This little black one right here, it just plugs in right down there. And there, that's freed up. Now what else is holding us up here? Good question. Trying to do this as gently as possible, but it's not making it easy for me. There we go. Now we're starting to get somewhere. All right. Yes, all this comes off as an assembly. and then we can work on it from here. Now let me just check the heads, because I never did that the last time I was in here. Where is me flashlight? Actually, they look pretty good. Pinch roller looks, I don't know, maybe it's a little hard. Yeah, that might stand for a little bit of sandpaper treatment. But it's not too bad. Capstan looks fairly clean. Counter belt feels all right. I might be able to reuse that actually. Yes, we can reuse that. So I don't think I will change that. Now we have to get access to the back of the transport in order to see what's going on with the main belt. So it's a good thing I removed that screw for the main board back here. Problem is there is no slack here in order to get the board off. So the question is, does the transport come up so I can work on it that way? It looks like it does, but I don't know if they intend you to do it that way. But yes, clearly we need to figure out some way to get access to the transport in here. So let me think about this for a second and I'll get back to you. Okay, so here's where we're at with this guy. I think what we're going to have to do is desolder this wire here. I believe it goes to the erase head. Not sure. But what we're going to do is I've disconnected this connector here from down in here. And I think what we're going to be able to do once this wire comes off is we're going to be able to flip the whole board up and away from the transport so we can work on it. At least that's what I'm hoping to do. And just be aware that there's this little wire thing here that holds these wires in place for retention. So don't forget about that when you put it back together. So hopefully we can get enough room to work on this thing after that wire's out of the way. I'm not sure if that'll be the case, but it looks like it will be. So looks like the soldering iron is warmed up now. I've taken a picture with my phone, rather with my other phone, so I know where these wires go. But yeah, there is possibly an easier way to do this with this mechanism, but this is the way I've chosen to do this one. So this is how we are going to do this one. And I believe that's the only one I have to desolder. So let's see, do we have room to work now? We'll come at it from this angle. I believe the transport does come off, but I don't think it's easy, so we're just gonna try and work our way around the circuit board as is. Sometimes you have to do that with these boom boxes, especially the little ones. So it looks like we can free up a little more slack by untwisting these wires here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Thankfully I'm getting this on video so I know how to put it back together later. And I've already checked, and these wires here do not unplug from anywhere. They are soldered in, so fun times. Now you're starting to see why I don't like working on Sanyo units. And yeah, I think that's about all the wire slack we're going to get out of this thing. So, what's next? Well, first I'm going to get rid of all the dust around the transport here. And there's a lot of it. A lot of old grease, too. And the action is working quite smoothly, so I don't think I'll bother trying to do anything with that old grease. Looks like we've got a micro switch down in here. We're probably going to have to clean that, so let's do that now. Just get my contact cleaner ready. And anytime you use contact cleaner, of course, you got to cycle the switch you're cleaning a few times just to make sure it works. I'm actually half tempted to go ahead and go at this one with the sandpaper too, but I think it should be okay. I'd rather not have to get back into this if I don't have to, but at the same time, I don't actually need this unit to play tapes, so I don't know. I feel like being lazy today. I'll scrub the two contacts together this way rather than deal with the sandpaper. Now, I got to get in here and see just what I need to do to get this transport out. Or not out, apart, far enough to get that belt out of there, because that belt needs replacing. I know that for sure. It's slipping. Looks like it loops from the capstan motor back here up around this flywheel. Then there's another pulley under there. I hope this capstan motor works anymore. This belt is really badly stretched, I can just tell. Alright, so I think we got to remove 3 screws here, and then we should be able to access that. But what's the deal with this little spring thing down here? Oh, that's just glued in, I think, so we might be okay. And there's a wire soldered in up there, because of course there is. Why make things easy for us, hey Sanyo? Okay, now we've got access to the belt, and we can pull it off and see how bad it is. I think this is supposed to be a 9.5 internal circumference belt. So let's just find out, shall we? First, that is a really thin belt. Thankfully, I should have the belts for it. I'm glad I ordered some new ones for that Sony Boombox, because it looks like we're going to need it. Alright, so if this really is a 9.5, it should stretch out to 4.75. And it measures 5.25. So yeah, it's pretty stretched. So let me get my 0.7 millimeter belts out, and we'll see if that's actually the right call for this unit. I'm going to say no, that's bigger than 0.7. So I'm going to have to go with my 1.2 millimeter belts. Fortunately, I've got plenty of those. And yeah, I gotta admit, after doing my wow and flutter video, that I'm real sick of using these Chinese generic belts because they really don't do a good job with wow and flutter. So for all the stuff I care about in the future, I think I'm probably going to go with the good belts every time because I'm sick of dealing with these Chinese belts. I mean, that Sony FX7C, it's running out of spec. I don't want it to run out of spec. And yeah, that Sansui's even worse, so I definitely want to get a new belt in that Sansui. I got belts flying everywhere now. So yeah, I'm going to do another video soon, I hope, of me putting the decent belts into the Sansui and Sony. And as for my grandparents' old Sony, that one is going to be a special project. Found our belts. My grandparents' old Sony needs a full restoration job. And I do mean full. I'm going to recap it and do a full transport service on that unit, because that has literally never been done in the last 40-some years. And like I said, I do have some other tape decks incoming. Hopefully that will be interesting to you guys. I'm not going to say what they are yet. I'm just going to say there are 4 of them. So I'm looking forward to getting to those. Let's put those belts off to the side because we've got others to replace yet. Now, before we do any replacing, let's just get down here, zoom in a little bit, and we'll just see how well lubed this flywheel is. It's actually not bad. I could drop some new Androl on that thing, but I don't think I will. But let me just check this other pulley here for a second. If I can get this little plate out of my way. Come on, stay out of the way. It looks like there's a lot of old dried grease around this pulley, and that is not spinning well. That could probably do with some lube. Just trying to see if this is a split washer or something that won't fly off into the nethers of time and space if I try and get that off. I don't know if it is or not. I do know I would like to lube it. So let me go off camera, I'll try and get that washer off, and then we'll lube that pulley. Alright folks, good news. I managed to get the pulley off, and of course it's the real drive gear as well. I'm just having a look at the gear. Looks pretty good. So yeah, we are going to be able to clean this. That is indeed a split washer. So I just hope I got it on camera for you, that last segment, because yeah, I didn't remember that my phone was still zoomed in. So I'm just going to clean this up real quick here with some Kleenex. Oh, and looks like we've got another little washer here. It's on my fingertip. We've got to remember that's there. I do believe it goes under here, so yeah, it's an oil keeper. But we're not going to use oil. We're going to use Lubriplate. Now I got to clean this up a little bit somehow, and I'm going to use contact cleaner for that. Not sure it's the best stuff to use. And it should go without saying that you don't want to use anything that'll melt plastic here, so whatever lube you're using, make sure it's plastic safe. And the same goes for contact cleaner, because I have had contact cleaner in the past that has melted plastic, and that's no good. Oh, and there's another washer. It's right down in here. So I don't know if that's going to come out very easily or not. Well, it must have come off somewhere because it's not there anymore. Let me just grab a Q-tip. Bunch of old nasty grease around the central portion of it. So I'm going to try and get that off as well. Now the question is, can I find that other washer? Probably not. Great. All right, so I found the washer again. Wasn't real easy, but I found it. And we're just about ready to go back with some new lube. Just trying to put this washer down here so it's not sticking to my hand. Good Lord, did they have to use a washer that's practically invisible? Thanks a lot, Sanyo. Ah, there it is. It's on my thumbnail. Just trying to put it down next to its little buddy here so I don't lose it. And actually, I think that other washer goes on the other side underneath the split washer that holds that little piece in. This invisible washer does not want to come off my thumbnail somehow. This thing is just a nuisance. I know you can't see what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. I will continue cleaning this up a bit here, just to get all the old grease off as much as I can. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to lube up this gear as well, or put at least a little on this gear. It'll help the mechanism run a little quieter. All right, where's my luber plate? Here is my luber plate. And I'm going to need another Q-tip for this because that metal plate is not really making my life any easier right now. So hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to zoom in. There, that is plenty. Actually, that's kind of excessive. I'm going to take this gear, just put a little bit on the outside, like so. And crap, I just realized I forgot to put those washers back on this little shaft before I put the new luber plate on. So I'm going to have to do that all over again. Great. Fortunately, that's not too hard. There, that should do it. All right, we need the washer that wouldn't do what it's told, and it's gone missing now. Literally tried to pick it up and it went shooting off somewhere. Shades of the Sony tape deck all over again. If I can find this little guy again, I will be surprised. I may have to find a different washer. This is where patience comes in handy, because you need a lot of it to do this kind of stuff sometimes. Alright, sit rep. I ended up losing 2 washers this time. Great! I'm just having so much fun with these tape decks lately. Anyhow, thanks to our wonderful AudioVox mechanism, I managed to find something that'll work as an oil keeper. It's not really the best material possible because, well, AudioVox, but I think it should work, at least for the oil keeper that used to be on this mechanism. As for the metal washer, it just launched itself and I can't find it, and I just don't care enough about this boombox to try and look for it all day. So it is where it is. I don't care where it is. We're just going to move on. So I'm going to take this little oil keeper and put it on the shaft. I hope it stays on the shaft. So yeah, I don't know what's with my luck these days, but I am just losing washers left and right when it comes to these tape decks, and should probably take a little break from them, if I'm being totally honest. Now come on, get on there. All right, it's on, and I'm not gonna complain about it. So we got to reapply the lubric plate to that shaft. As far as the metal one goes, I don't think we actually need it. So I believe it did go on the keeper side of this. So yeah, that should be okay to go on now. We're just going to rely on the split washer alone when it comes to the other side of this. I just don't care enough about this tape deck to look all day for a replacement for that. That is spinning a lot easier now, as one might expect. Now I'm going to go off camera again real quick. I'm going to get that split washer on. Thankfully, the AudioVox over here supplied a bunch of replacement split washers in case we need them, so there's that. Anyhow, let me get this washer put back on and we can get the belt on and hopefully get this thing playing. Okay, the split washer is on. I didn't lose that one, thankfully. But as you might be able to tell, I did end up removing the capstan flywheel and capstan, and I just wanted to mention this to you. There's this little piece with a spring in it that goes down on the shaft with another teeny tiny little washer, it looks like, and it just fits right like so. There's this little teeny tiny oil keeper on there, so beware of that if you're servicing one of these. And this little gear piece sort of fits down into these 4 little notches in the flywheel, so you're gonna want to be careful of that. It is spring-loaded, so try and line it up before you put the capstan back in. And I'm just going to get in there with the Anderol. I don't know why I'm bothering with this part, but I am. And let me see if I can get this in here without spilling a bunch all over the place like I just did. Oh, I'm winning at life today. Where is my flashlight? Where did that go off to? All right, before I do this, let me get you down in here so you can actually see what's going on. All right, consider the oil applied. And yes, there is an oil keeper. It goes on the capstan shaft as well. I'm just doing that just for redundancy. I don't think I actually need to do it, so. Again, make sure the little plastic gear piece is lined up before you drop that back down. And it looks like we're okay on that front. There are some gears underneath that this engages with, so those are lined up properly now. And I'm just going to go over to the other side here. And we're going to try to put this oil keeper on. Without losing it. And we are successful in this case. Now, don't forget, you gotta clean that capstan shaft again after this because we've got new oil on there. Now I gotta get this stuff all out of the way again so I can get in there and put the new belt on somehow. Because we are finally at that stage. A little light would help, wouldn't it? All right, I got it stringed around the capstan pulley, or motor pulley. Oh, these little boom boxes are so much fun. Maybe you can tell. Try not to twist the belt, but it's near impossible. Like I said, near impossible. All right, that should work. I think it might be a little twisted, but yes, it is. I'm not sure if I really care at this point. All right, I think we got her. Untwisted and everything. So now we're gonna reinstall this plate and come around to the front. All right, got everything back together, hopefully. And hopefully everything works now. I've relubed about as much as I'm gonna relube on this thing, so hopefully this thing does work. Now it is time to do our final clean of the capstan. Just getting some isopropyl alcohol right here. 70% because I can't find the 99% stuff around here. And it just occurs to me I didn't get my Windex, so I can't do anything with the pinch roller at the moment. That's the stuff that's coming off the pinch roller. Lovely. Gonna do another pass with that and see if I can get any more off. Want to get it as clean as we can. Good news is I think the pinch roller is salvageable. I don't think it's real bad at all. And I think that should do it. Just doing another little wipe down of the capstan while I'm at it. Because we got to make sure that's clean. And I think we're about done. All we got to do is reassemble and test. Oh, but wait, we've got one more micro switch here we got to deal with. Okay, hopefully that's good. Like I said, we're not doing anything with the counterbelt because it's doing well enough as it is. It is loose, but it's functional. So that should be it. So the transport is not back into the machine yet. It's just occurred to me we've actually got a way to test this without fully reinstalling this yet. So that's what we're gonna do. I bought some brand new batteries for this and we're just gonna fire them in right now. Well, actually we're gonna fire them in the right way. And hopefully we can run this thing and see exactly how well the transport's working. This is probably not going to be easy to do, but we'll give it a shot. I suppose those are making contact. All right, we're gonna go like this. I'm gonna try to figure out which one's the play button here. Should be this one down here. And we've got the transport working. Obviously the counter's not working because it runs off this belt here. Where's our fast forward? That's this one right here. How come that ain't working? I know this is kind of risky given that we literally don't know what the transport's doing yet, but I'm going to put a cassette in there and see if we can get fast forward to work here. Now it's literally not engaging. That's not a noise it should be making. Why is it making that noise? It's literally coming from this reel for some reason. That is strange. I gotta put this down somehow because my arm's getting tired doing that. At least it's not eating the tape. Very interesting. It could be that this machine requires the plastic in front to be there before it will track the tape properly, and I think that's what's going on. But I'm not quite sure. Alright, so I found the problem. The problem is, you remember that little central gear and pulley that drive the reels? Well, it turns out that Sanyo, in their infinite wisdom, decided to use just belt tension alone to keep that in contact with the capstan, or with the take-up reel. So yeah, prime build quality there. Anyhow, that gear was slipping on the shaft because the belt didn't have enough tension, so I had to go back in there. And I've gone in with a 4.25 internal circumference belt this time, so hopefully this works, because I am not doing this again. If this doesn't work, I'm putting it back together, and it's over. I am sick to death of this right now. No more Sanyos. Unless I get an M7770K or whatever it is. I might make an exception for that, but yeah, this thing's just driving me crazy, so everything in here is cheap. So I hope this works. And yeah, it's at least running now again. So where did I put my tape? See if it does this without clicking now. Place your bets now, because I'm not sure I'm honoring any bets. Now the other one's slipping. Actually, that was fast forward. Rewind is the one that's not working. Still, for some reason. And that is running way too fast. I don't know why it's running so fast. It should not be. I got it back together properly. This is annoying. Extremely so. But at least it's not clicking in the forward direction anymore. It's just not working properly is all. Still. Yeah, that's literally running at least twice the speed. Just cannot figure out why it would be doing that at all. Yeah, it's fast forwarding at the same speed that it's playing now for some infernal reason. Okay, so I think I figured out what might be going on with this unit. Not exactly sure. It's kind of a piece of crap. Sorry, but that's what I think of it now. The problem is, this is the real drive here. Like I said, Sanyo requires the main capstan belt for tension on this. It's supposed to either go left or right here. And I think what the problem was is if you use too tight of a belt, that cannot move properly. And I've tried again with the 4.75 belt, and that's not working, so I'm going to have to try and find an even looser belt for this, because I don't know if you can see it, but there is a little limit spring down in here that keeps the idler from moving too far this way. And unfortunately, when it does move too far this way, it locks out rewind. So that's why we didn't get rewind before. I have put in some new lubriplate down in there That might help, but I don't think so at this point. So I'm going to have to go with something looser than a 4.75 belt here. So let me see if I can find one. And hopefully this works. All right, there we are. We've got a 5.25 belt on there now, and it looks like we're in business. We've got rewind, we've got fast forward, and of course we've got play. Now this belt might actually be too loose because it's supposed to be a 9.1 internal circumference belt. So 5.25 times 2, that's 10.5. So if this works, I'll be shocked. It's probably going to click like it did before, but we'll just have to see. I'm just going to get it back together now, and we're going to test. And I mean all the way back together. I'm not doing anything else with this. Well, maybe not all the way back together. I guess we do have to try and test again with the machine apart like this, just in case it eats a tape or something. But yeah, I hope this does the trick now, because it's going to be not finished and abandoned if it doesn't work now. Also, I didn't mention this, but this is the record switch up there. I've gone ahead and cleaned that, and the end of the record switch on this side goes into this tab here. I don't know if you can see it very well, right where my finger is. So make sure that's engaged when you put this back together as well. Anyhow, I'm going to put this board back on and all this stuff back together, and let's see what we got. All right, guys, cross your fingers, your toes, your eyes, and whatever else you've got to be crossed, because this is it. I'm done if this doesn't work. Well, it's promising. Let's see what happens if I put a tape in it. Let's see what happens if I push the right button. Oh, look at that. We might have actually gotten away with this one. I can't believe I'm saying that. But we won't know for sure how well this will work until I put this back together. So let me do that now, and we'll see what happens. And you know what? I'm kind of thinking about replacing that anyway, but nah, we'll leave it. Let's see what happens when we get it back together. All right, folks, it's time. Once again, cross everything you can cross, because we are about to try my test tape in this thing, and hope it doesn't eat it. Here goes nothing. It certainly looks like it's all working. I'm not sure I've got fond things to say about the Wow and Flutter, but it is what it is. This never was a very expensive tape deck, so I did clean all these controls before I put it back together, so they're doing okay now. I thought it was best to do that before I put everything back together, and word of advice, if you've got one of these and you're servicing it, clean the heads while you've got it apart, because it's almost impossible to get up in there when it's back together. Let me try and find a non-copyright striking pre-recorded tape, and we'll see if the music search function works, because this is the best this thing has worked since I got it, so I want to see if that works too. Alright folks, here's what we're going to go with. Paul Jans. Really awesome Canadian singer-songwriter who found a lot of success back in the 80s and early 90s. So, please don't eat this tape. Okay. Not exactly sure how this is supposed to work. I think that's the way it's supposed to work. Okay, clearly that does not work. See if it does it in the reverse direction. I guess that would help. Nope, still doesn't work. It does mute the output the way it's supposed to, but obviously it's not firing the solenoid, or something's wrong with the solenoid. I saw it while I was working on it, but I'm not getting back in there to fight with it right now. I've just had enough, so we're going to call it a success right here. Music search doesn't work, but that's okay. This machine literally does more right now than it ever has while I've owned it. So I'm going to end it right here. See you next time, guys. Take care.